With Nigeria's population at about 180 million, the country is decisively the most populous in Africa and reportedly accounting for about 47% of the entire population of West Africa. A country with such a population advantage should at all costs strive to make it food secure, and with over 75% of its land suitable for practicing agriculture, 33 silos available for food storage and other facilities provided by government to address the issue of hunger. This aim is yet to be fully achieved. Is the storage system in Nigeria obsolete? Are we still at the level of subsistence farming? Or are the natural disasters, especially the recent floods, now taking a toll? We may even ask further, are we not deploying the required technology for agricultural activities? These are the issues we'll be looking at on the program Nigeria Today as we discuss food security. Thanks for choosing NTA. My name is Kande Daniel. The program is Nigeria Today Midweek Edition, and our discussion centers on food security in Nigeria. In the studio to discuss the topic, two gentlemen. First, to my immediate left is Dr. Emeka Okengwu. Dr. Okengwu is a development economist and is also Executive Director, West African Green Economy Development Institute. Welcome.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Next, I introduce Dr. Tunde Arosonyi, who is the National Coordinator, Zero Hunger Farmers Association, and also National Technical Advisor, All Farmers Association of Nigeria. We appreciate your honoring our invitation.
It's my pleasure.
Gentlemen, this chat is really about food and the sufficiency of it, and I believe the nutritional value, you know, the way I've heard some of you analyze it before. So I think we should lay the foundation for this nearly half-hour discussion by establishing what is food security. Dr. Kengu, to begin with, what would you describe to be food security which we are desiring to attain?
I think let's also put what is food, because I mean you said we were going to be talking about
food. Thank you, sir.
Yes, what is food? And then before we now talk about the security of food. Food is anything that not only nourishes your body, sustains you, and probably builds energy. So you're just not talking about food as in what you put inside your mouth. You're talking about food as in what your body needs for you to be able to maybe do what you call a healthy growing. To this extent, food becomes very central to not just nourishing your body, but also now developing your right faculties. Okay, malnourishment of the body leads also to the malnourishment of your mental states, of your faculties. And so what kind of foods you give at a particular point in time in life begins and becomes the building blocks of life. So in other words, in a very short sentence, food, you know, is very fundamental and foundational to building life, sustaining life, okay, and living well and healthy. That's one part of it. Now to your question, what is now food security? Food security means the capacity and ability of any given people within a given time and space to now be able to, on a sustainable basis, be able to produce these factors that you need to be able to build life. So if we're going to be taking it from this trajectory, then we'll now be getting more into what you might be calling the chemistry, what you might be calling the trajectory, what you might be calling the framework, what you might be calling the structure that must be in place for you to be able to now start talking about food security for a country.
All right, let's hear Dr. Tunde Arosanya at this stage. Sir, would you agree with Dr. Kengo's analysis of food being very, very so vital, all important actually to the sustenance and growth of a people, one? And secondly, would you say Nigeria is food secure?
I totally agree with his analysis, because we need food for sustenance. As a matter of importance, after the air we breathe in, food is the next most important to human survival. So by this, food is extremely important, and it's galvanized the activities of every human in terms of energy, as he has analyzed. Now, to go to the question, when you say a nation is food secured, every citizen of that country must be able to, the food must be available and it must be affordable. There are times food may be available, it may not be affordable. But when food is readily available and it's affordable, that is to say every citizen have access to standard meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then you say such a nation is food secured. Now, to ask whether Nigeria is food secure, I would say we are far from that level. And that was why the UN in 2016 discovered that most African countries has a major challenge of food security. Like you said in your background, for every Nigerian, when you pick an African, a Nigerian is 1 out of 4. That is 1/4 of African population. So it behooves on Nigeria to look at the concept of food security, because the United Nations is much more worried. And that was what gave birth to zero hunger. So it's one of the pivots of the Sustainable Development Goals between 2016 to 2030 that Nigeria should strive to be food secured. But for now, we are not yet there.
All right, Dr. Okengu, my next question would be, is food security equal to successful farming?
Well, let's also define farming. It's important we put proper definitions to this so that we're able to understand what we're talking about, okay? Because there are so many kinds of farming. There's what they call subsistence farming. There's what they call small-scale farming. There's what they call large-scale farming. There's what they call recreational farming. So it's important we know at what level we are in Nigeria. Because there's sometimes they say farmers association and then everybody gathers together. Some people are coming with hoes, some people are coming with cutlasses, some people are coming with diggers. And then they decide, okay, let's go and have this conference in the UK. And then you see a guy who's flying in a private jet. And
he's a farmer too.
And he says to you, you see, we are no longer talking about farms now. We're not even talking about plantations anymore. We are talking about belts. Okay, so saying successful farming, it has to be successful right farming that can be able to unlock the volume you need to begin to now trigger what you call value. Okay, so it's not enough for you to say, oh, we are farming yam. We are very big yam farmers. And then in one stroke, you probably are producing 10 to 20,000 metric tons of yam in a year. And what your pharmaceutical industry need from your pharmaceutical starch might be 20 million tons of pharmaceutical grade starch. You might also be doing that, and then you also, let's go and get an industry to be able to now turn this into poundo yam. And by the time you start calculating your energy cost, you now find out that you've just been able to go and put up this gigantic structure, okay, that you need to probably heat up or turn on your burners or whatever for hours on end, that now takes this thing in an hour. So the first problem we have in Nigeria is that we are talking about farming and we are not defining farming. I saw in your intro, you were talking about Nigeria having 75% of its land as arable. That's very ancient. Okay,
How?
because South Africa has only 13% of its land arable. And in the past 10 years consistently, they have made over 8 million metric tons of food output.
And we're supposed to still have an advantage over them.
To the extent, Candy, my sister, that everything you buy as vegetable from, what do they call this South African place now, ShopRite, all those large tomatoes and fresh are actually being flown in from South Africa. They have only 13% of their land arable. Do you know why they're doing this? Because they have been able to understand that they are no longer talking about agriculture as a science. They are now talking about food production and food security as a major plank of national security. We are now talking about nutrition. So it's not when you go into a shop in a restaurant in South Africa to go and eat now, they give you a menu, roasted lamb dipped in this sauce. And I saw this girl who had put something on Facebook about Gary. And when she started calling out the biological names of Gary, and she eventually announced she was drinking Gary and granite, I nearly laughed my head off. But that's truly what it is now. We are still in this medieval time where we are seeing farming as strong people who are carrying hoes, you know, and cutlasses and all that. When I tell people that I'm a farmer, a lot of people say, oh, but you don't look like a farmer. I say, no, please understand me. I am not that kind of farmer. I am into farming that is technology supported. And what it is we want to do is a candy as pretty as you look right now. You can actually go to your farm in the morning and come back looking prettier. You know. Okay? Because what it is you need to do is to go and touch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons and you have processes running. So in trying to now answer this very simple question, and I've gone into all this, you know, rhetorics, is to be able to say, can we also ask ourselves, have we really gotten to the stage where we can even begin to now call ourselves as farmers? Aren't you safer saying that what it is we're doing is pedestrian or subsistence or recreational farming? So it's a lot easier for us to be able to now understand why we're not able to now engage this volume that we greatly need to be able to now release the value process.
All right, there's something you said when you were giving us the example of South Africa that I'd like Dr. Arosoyin to come in on. Dr. Arosoyin, he said something about South Africa having gotten to the level where the country sees food security as a major plank of national security. We'll have 1 minute before break. Can you tackle that for us? Do you agree? And how?
Yes, I agree, because the United Nations Charter says food is the right of every human. And background to that analysis, we have just about 75% of our arable lands that is cultivable, and then it's just about 35 to 36% of that arable land that is being cultivated. And like my colleague said, he's trying to define farming. But for us, we know there are 3 groups. We have the subsistence farmers. Those are the parents, the old farmers that are still using obsolete implements. We are trying to change that gradually. Then we have the medium-sized farmer. For any farm that is over 5 hectares to 25 hectares farmland, we see you as a medium-sized farmer. Then from that, above to 50, 100 hectares, then you're a big-time farmer. Now, we need to bring in technology. If smaller countries like Singapore, that is just about the size of...
Okay, we have just a few seconds to deal with that question. How much of technology do we have in our agri system now, and how much more do we need?
Substantially, we need a lot of technology, because presently, baseline, in terms of land development, you go to some states, you can't even get bulldozers to clear land. Without land clearing, you can't start farming. Then even if the lands are cleared, the tractors are not on ground. You see an average of 1 tractor to over 3,000 farmer. And in other clime, it's 1 tractor to about 200 farmers.
All right, we'll come back to that. We're going on break now to feel the pulse of Nigerians. We'll listen to Nigerians bare their minds on the topic of food security, and we come back to the studio to continue the discussion. This is Nigeria Today.
Empower women. Go use faith-based organizations, but whether it is Muslim or is a Christian. Use a kind of formalize a program that will ensure that this money gets to women, not men, women, and then you will see food in abundance.
I'm from Kogi State, for instance. In Kogi State, rice, you talk of rice, you talk of palm oil, you talk of gari, everything is in abundance. But it has been neglected. Nobody, and you know the farmers, they don't really have money from anywhere. The government have to help them, and without helping them, we are not moving forward.
There are many unemployed youth out there looking for something to do, and I believe if you finance them well and give them the equipment to do this, many youths are out there, including me myself. I've been a graduate for how many years, no job. So I believe if they equip us with such things, we can go into it.
Food insufficiency in this country, if I may say, one is being caused by insecurity in the country. Secondly, flooding.
And anybody that has enough food to eat will not think of other vices. So I think the government, although the Minister of Agriculture have been trying to go around to put some efforts in order to build on what the past administration did, but I think they still need to do more to assuage the hunger in the country, so that because once there's enough food, other vices can be taken care of. Because they say a hungry man is an angry man. But
the program is Nigeria Today, and studio discussion continues now with Dr. Emeka Okengu, a development economist, and Dr. Tunde Arosonye, National Coordinator, Zero Hunger Farmers Association. Those were quite some thoughts. Did we pick anything we can quickly make reference to before we continue? Dr. Arosonye.
Of course, yes. It has been confirmed that Nigeria is not food secured yet. And then you see the human resources, those that need just some little motivation from government or government program to put them into production. Or we can look at engaging our youths into agriculture. Not the agriculture we do with cutlass and hoes. The enabling environment must be in place with modern tools like sprayers and herbicides and some conventional inputs commensurate with modern farming.
Okay, Dr. Kengo.
Yeah, I think the girl from Kogi, or the woman from Kogi rather, said it all for me. I do a lot of road trips, and this time I pass that place, I'm either buying cocoa, or sourshops, or grapes, or something. And part of the problem we have, unfortunately, is that we have given to government what government shouldn't do. If you look at most of the acts that have been reviewed with the reforms, you find out that most of these government agencies or departments or ministries have actually become administrators and regulators. But they have not been able to now form these synergies where you are able to now enter into the commercialization of a lot of these technologies that are within the agencies. I've pushed and pushed to say to them, I've gone around some of these research agencies, and this is where you begin to actually feel very bad about the state of our country. As somebody was talking about, doctor had talked about technology. I had pushed to say all these technologies have acquired and developed, and a lot of it is within the university systems, within the government systems, but they're all locked in by what you call policy programs that leaves a lot of them on the shelf. So it is just not for somebody to say Minister of Agriculture fund them. It is for somebody to be able to say we'll have what you call a national blueprint for food production. And what does that mean? Like I said to you, for every level of your life, In my twilight now, I'm heading very fast towards 60. There are certain things I no longer put inside my mouth, okay? But there are also certain ages that you must be able to give some people in that age range what it is that they need to be able to build. Can they? Do we have a nutrition plan for Nigeria? And if we do have a nutrition plan for Nigeria, who is promoting it? Is it a policy? Is it a program? Or is it an action? Because what it is, you say government policy, and a lot of people don't know that government policy is all about thoughts. Until you're able to framework it into what you call programs that are actionable. Truth of the matter is that we're going to be singing to the choir. You know, but I think in also moving forward, the whole idea is not for us to be also too critical of the public sector. We must be able to say to them, this is where we think you are not getting it right. And I think where we're not getting it right is simple, my sister. From what everybody out there has said, we don't have an organized, a plan we can be able to interrogate. We don't even understand what's the difference between agriculture and food security or food. Agriculture is not food. It's important we get that clearly. It's not.
Okay, I'd like, I would not count myself in, but you're both farmers, so I can feel free to ask any question on this matter. I'd like Dr. Oresanya to throw in a little bit, you know, on this important issue about linking research to policy and to citizen action. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, ideally, where people are talking about government is because they need to come up with policy and drive the policy. And like he rightly said, we have the National Center for Agricultural Mechanization, NCAM, in Ilorin. There are so many designs of small tools that can be used, but they are locked up in the shed because government has not given enough publicity to attract entrepreneurs and corporate bodies that are able to come and commercialize some of these designs. The research institutes, the universities, all of them have fantastic research that can really be developed by the corporate body. So the synergy is not there yet.
Yeah, okay. I also like you to quickly comment on the relationship of all of this with the issue of storage and silos. How does this come in, and how strong are we on that?
We are not there at all. You heard the lady that sometimes they bring grapes, fruits, banana. Once you cannot sell, some of these items are perishable. If you go to Kano, you see tomatoes that have been harvested. Once they cannot go to market, after 3-4 days, they begin to go bad. So government should have expanded the warehousing system, not just silo.
Government only? Government?
Yes, because they started it. Like the last administration came up with silos in the geopolitical zone, because the silos that were in the country in the 80s have become obsolete because of the humidity that we have here. So they came with a new technology which is quite okay. And then they had wanted to expand to have the cold room system, which will be in each of the 774 local government to warehouse some of these perishable items. The idea is to build it and then concession it to the private hands to manage and pay money to governments.
All right, we're fast running out of time, and there's still so much to talk about. But I'd like to hear us talk about this question, since we're talking about storage and lack of facilities. Is there any way we can make suggestions concerning adding value to products instead of letting them perish? Dr. Kimwo.
Well, you see, let me just bite a little bit at the storage thing. One of the worst things you can do is to use, in those days they used to call it these very big pots that they use in cooking for parties, to boil 1 cup of rice. You will lose both your pots and you won't get your rice. And that's the story of silos in Nigeria. And what it is you do is that we plan, we build the infrastructure and then begin to plan how to load it up. Now, how can you have storage facility of 400,000 that you hadn't used 25% of it, and you are going to be adding another 250,000 or 400,000 because you want it to be nationally spread. That's not right. Now, you're talking about value adding. Like I told you, value is added based on volume, Candy. Because the value adding process is actually where you have a lot of hidden costs. It's actually where you have a lot of defined costs. Now, there's no, if you start a generator that has a 40 or 50 kVA of power, you must be able to load up enough into that generating system to be able to, overcome the cost of the energy you're putting in there. So we will get there. I think all you just need to do is to be able to go back to the drawing board and then begin to redesign it. All right.
I'm actually looking forward already to another opportunity to discuss this with both of you. But I would like to wind down now by thanking you for opening our eyes on the issue of food security in Nigeria and not letting us presume things, as well as showing us the way forward. We truly appreciate. But this is where we must end it for today. That's the package for midweek Nigeria Today. Dr. Emeka Okengu, a development economist, we deeply appreciate
it's a privilege to be
your
here.
presence. Same goes for Dr. Tunde Arosanyi, who is National Coordinator, Zero Hunger Farmers Association, and doubles as National Technical Advisor, All Farmers of Nigeria. We appreciate your coming on Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much.
And so on behalf of the Nigeria Today crew, I thank you for staying with us. Join us again for more on Nigeria Today, same time every weekday. You can also watch any edition online at www.youtube.com/NTA News Hub 24. My name is Kande Daniel. Enjoy your evening.